Hello and welcome. In this video I will show you how to create a basic HTML document structure. This is an illustration of a basic HTML document structure that I am going to replicate inside a text editor and then save it as an index.html file. Web pages are saved with a .html file extension, and the index is basically the home page or the entry page to your website if your website has multiple web pages. Let's begin by creating a folder structure for our sample HTML document. I have already created my folder structure on my desktop, but you can create yours anywhere on your computer. So this is my folder structure here, and the way I created it is by right-clicking on a blank space on my desktop and just clicking on the new option and selecting folder, and then just giving the folder a name. In this case, I've called my folder My Projects. So that's the first step. And once you've done that, then open up the folder and then you create a project folder. This outer folder here will be a container for all your website projects that you want to create. It's always a good idea to keep all your projects in one location. So if I open that up, and then I've created another folder inside this folder, basically the same way, right click and go new folder and then give it a name. I've called it sample-site. It's a good practice when naming your project folders or your folders in general to give them lowercase names. If it contains more than one word, use a hyphen like I've done here. I've done sample-site to give the folder a name. It's always good to use lowercase. It's a better naming convention. So now that we've created a folder for our project, we're going to create 3 subfolders inside this folder. So click on it and create 3 folders. Just right click and go new folder and do that 3 times, and just give each of the folders a name. Call one images, the other call scripts, and the other one you call it style sheets. And this basically helps you organize your file. So if you've got any images you want to use, you put the images inside the images folder. If you've got any scripts like JavaScript, you place that inside the scripts folder. And if you've got any CSS, that goes in the style sheets folder. If you are using a Mac computer, you can create these folders the same way as well. I have added a couple of images to my images folder. I've got these 2 images here, and I've got them set at 256 by 256, which means the width and the height have been set to 256. And I got these images from a website called unsplash.com, which is this site here. So basically you just type in whatever you're interested in, your subject title. Say for example, if you're interested in dogs, you type in dogs there, and you can just get a variety of images relating to your search, and then you just download what you want. So that's what I did. I just went through these images and just downloaded a couple of them. So feel free to type in whatever subject you want. Doesn't have to be dogs, but anything that takes your fancy. So once you've got your images, so make sure you put them in your images folder. The images will probably not be the same size, so you can resize them, and you can use any image editing tool. If you're on a Windows computer, you can use Microsoft Paint. So the way I resize my images, I just right clicked and went to open with Paint, which is Microsoft Paint. And while you're in Paint, you just click on the resize button. Make sure it's set to pixels. Okay, you can see this is my current size. And when you want to reset or resize your images, make sure you check on pixels, put in the size you want, the horizontal, the vertical, which is the width and the height, and make sure this option here that says maintain aspect ratio, make sure that is unchecked when you set the horizontal and vertical value. So I've already done this. I'm not going to do this again. I'm just showing you how I did it. Once you've done that, then you can save that back into your images folder and just give it a relevant name. So that's it for this part of the video of creating a basic HTML document structure. We are going to be using a text editor, and the text editor I'll be using is called Brackets. I recommend you use brackets so it's easier for you to follow along in the example. However, if you haven't got brackets, or if you've got a preferred text editor that you're used to, please feel free to use that. Or if you've got a preferred text editor that you're used to, please feel free to use that. To open the Brackets text editor, just locate the icon. If you're on a Mac, go to your applications folder. If you're on Windows, go to all programs and you should see the icon for Brackets. Just click to launch the application. If this is the first time you launch the Brackets text editor after installation, it provides some sample code for you here just to illustrate how various parts of it work. But what we're going to do, I'm going to open up our project directory inside the text editor. So I'm going to navigate to it. I'm going to click File, Open Folder, and the folder is on my desktop. So I'm going to navigate to my project folder, which is this one here. And this is what I want. I'll just click and that will open it inside the text editor. So on the left pane here, you can see my subfolders and my main project folder. So if I expand this folder here, you can see I've got a couple of images in that folder. So I'm going to create a new file and I'm going to save that file as an index.html. Any file that's got the .html extension is treated as a web page or a HTML document. So I'm going to go to File and click New, and you can see it's given a new here, and I'm going to click on Save. I'll do Save As, and I'm going to save it into the root. This area here is the root, and I'll call it index.html and click Save. So you can see on the title here, it shows the name of the file I've just created, and you can see where it's got working files. It's got the file currently highlighted, which means any file in this area is the file you are currently working on. So any code I write in here now will now be an HTML code. So when I launch this with a web browser, it will know that it's an HTML document. So the very first thing you do in an HTML document is indicate the doctype. So the way you do that, you do a less than symbol on your keyboard, an exclamation mark, and then you type in the word doctype. You can make it lowercase if you like. It's not case sensitive. And then you do a space, and then in lowercase you type in HTML, and then you do a greater than sign. So that's the very first line of code you write inside an HTML document page. So let's move on to the next line. So the next line here, you can give a couple of spaces if you want. I'm going to now specify the HTML document. So you do that by, again, a less than sign on your keyboard, type in HTML, and then a greater than sign. Most tags have an opening and a closing tag. One good thing about brackets is that it automatically also adds the closing tag for you. So all you need to do is just press enter on your keyboard, and that will separate them. So any code between the opening and closing HTML tags will now be referred to as an HTML document. So anything between these elements, the opening and closing, is treated as a web page. So next, let's tab down, and then we create the head section, which is a head element. Again, you do a less than sign, you type in head, and then a greater than sign, and it automatically places a closing element for you. So just press enter to separate, and in between the head element, inside the head element, is where we're going to specify some other nested element. So we're going to place some other elements in between the head element in the next video. But before I wrap up this video, I just want to create the body element. So again, the way you do that, you do a less than sign, and then type in body, and then a greater than sign. You can see automatically places a closing tag, and inside the body element is where we'll have some other elements. Any elements inside the body element is the content that the visitor to the page will see. Any tags or elements inside the head is just for informational purposes. It doesn't get displayed. The only thing that gets displayed, if you have a title here, the title will show when the page is rendered by the web browser. Just as you have the title here saying index.html, when the web browser launches this web page, it will have whatever title you've given to the page, it will have it displayed in the web browser window. So that's it for this part of the video. In part 3, we will add more elements to the document structure. Thank you for watching, and bye for now.